Good day or good night, wherever you're hailing from. I am Sam Lagreda from Impasse Group, RPA engineer and solutions architect, and today I'm going to be showcasing a demo that differs quite a bit from the rest. As you may have seen in my previous videos and demos, that we showed how to automate an Excel file through the client side. Well, today I'm going to be showing the developer side. So we will not be using this today. We will be using Studio Pro, but just for the purpose of showcasing what actually goes on behind the scenes. So before I get into that, let me just open up the Excel files so that you may have a look at them. As we can see, they have quite a bit of info. They're loaded up a bit. And one thing that I do want to underscore here is that me and another solutions architect worked on an issue that we had because our bot ran into, let's say, some shortcomings, that it could not really differentiate what was a row and what was three rows in one. So we had to change that with code. We even delved into some math. So I'll show that in quite a bit, but I just wanted, of course, to to make it known through the Excel file so that there may be no confusion, no questions saying, oh, what is that? How did that come about? So well, it's all here from the Excel file. And of course, this is a dot that bears a slight resemblance to what the customer originally gave us, our customer, who we will not be disclosing. So now that the Excel files have been shown, let me delve into the workflow. So this is the main.neat file. So this contains all these subprograms. Here we start, we have the select Excel file because yes, as you may notice, some things are in Spanish. And here we have an if statement. So here, let me explain all this. So here, this is a subprogram, right? So a subprogram is, well, it is basically what it is, a program nested into this activity. So we'll open it in a new tab, and we see that the subprogram, this little activity right here, contains the select file or folder, which in this case is the Excel file. It saves the values to a variable. It saves the file's location. It goes to the Excel cells. It saves the type, the report type to a variable because if you had seen it, it said weekly or bi-weekly. Here we have an if statement that if it is weekly, we'll go down this route. And if it is not weekly, in this case bi-weekly, then it will go down this other route. So here we'll read the Excel range and save the variable on the employee's data as well. So the only differentiating factor here is the fact that one would be weekly and the other one would be bi-weekly. Then we have the validate report subprogram. So let's take a peek. So here we have of course, the employees, the variable that was saved. Well, in this case, some of these activities have been deactivated because they weren't needed. Once again, we have the if statement. If it is weekly, then it will go down this route. And if it is weekly, it will go down this route. And if it is not weekly, in this case, if it is bi-weekly, it will go down this other route. So here we are setting the rows, here we are, well, here, this is the other condition. And here we have combined. So this is what I explained briefly about earlier, that we had to merge some Excel cells into one row. And of course, the bot at first could not differentiate that there were three different, that there were supposed to be one entity, one row. It differentiated them as three different things. It saw them as three different things. And of course, that was fixed. And here we removed the things that we don't need, that we did not need in JSON. And here we combine the lines, right? Combining all three rows together, which is what we needed. Good. So this is the validate report. Well, this is the if statement. So as you can see here, it says, if the report is weekly or semanal because it's in Spanish, that's Spanish for weekly. And so if it is, it goes down this subprogram called the business rules. If it is not weekly, in this case, if it is bi-weekly, it goes down this route of, bi-weekly rules. In case it is not a bi-weekly one, we have here, it says that this file is not properly formatted. This is a user notification. What would usually pop up, if you chose a file that was not that was not properly formatted, it would of course display it onto the screen to let you know that there is an error. So you will not have to be wondering, oh, why is it wrong? Why is it not working? Why is it no? You'll know that it's because the file is improperly formatted, the Excel file, right? Here we have, well, these are the other two. This is the part two, the both the business rules and sorry, the business rules and the biweekly business rules, right? So here we are checking if the CSV JSON table is empty, right? If it is, then we will create a CSV. So here we have the code for that. Then we have the subprogram that generates the CSV. And then here we are checking if the Excel JSON table is empty. If it is, we don't create a new Excel file. So we save ourselves that hassle. And then we have the subprogram to generate the Excel file. Okay, so this is the main.neat file. So I believe I stopped around here. So let me showcase what I was touching on earlier. I will select one of the most renowned rules that we had to do, which would be rule 5. So just before I show the JavaScript code, let me just show the entire the entirety of the rules as well as the workflow for the subprogram. So here we see that we have the Excel table data. This is the JSON table, and this right here is the data from the CSV. This is the JSON table we build with the output to write the CSV. Then we set the counter to 0, and then we begin the rules, right? So here we have, if the counter is less than, of course, the combined rows, then the length of the combined rows, then we go down the row to process. So this is the row we will process in the different rules, right? So they've all been merged. Okay, so here we have the rules, and as you can see, the list goes on. They're quite lengthy, but I will only be showing rule 5, which in my opinion and the other solutions architect opinion was, well, let's just say renowned for its not really its difficulty, but for its hesitancy to, well, in this case, to submit to what we wanted it to. So as you can see, we as you may have seen, this was that rule 4, or in this case, concept 4 had been disabled. So this is the merging of two rules, actually, 4 and 5. So we see the JavaScript code. We implemented a switch statement. We implemented an if statement inside another if statement, aka a nested if statement. And of course, here's the part where we did some math. And the rest is printing to the CSV. Looking at this at first sight might be a little bit daunting, but it is nothing too difficult and nothing out of the ordinary. Of course, when it comes to dealing with, with heavy Excel files and when we want to automate a process, as I will show in just a moment. So we've already been through the business rules subprogram. Let's go down the bi-weekly subprogram now. So as we can see in the bi-weekly subprogram, we have it does not differ much because we have the Excel table data. We have the JSON table build with the rule to output to write to the CSV. This was for debug. So here's where it starts. We have the counter that it's set to 0. Again, the if statement. So now we have the routed process, and we have now different rules for this one because they are biweekly. Although I must say that during the development work, most of the rules from the previous subprogram sort of coincided with the purposes for this biweekly project. So let us go down concept 6. We see that it is not as code heavy. The array of objects, we're looping through them with a for loop. We're initializing a variable, another for loop, an if statement, then for loop, and so on and so forth. Let me show another one, this case 10, concept 10. We see that here it gets a little bit lengthier, mostly because the customer wanted something specific, there were specific things that he wanted, sometimes he would say, well, I want, if the employee has done this amount of, X amount of things during the week, then apply this rule. And sometimes we'd have employees doing different things, different tasks, or being absent, or being on leaves, maternity leaves, study leaves. And so sometimes that happens within the same week, yes, hectic work life, but nothing that an RPA bot cannot handle. Okay, so we had a total. Well, this is the biweekly subprogram. So we had a total of around because the rules, of course, are not in numerical order, not all of them. We had around 10 rules for this one. So, and of course, this is this is what we are checking for the CSV. So it's a conditional. Here we have another subprogram to generate the CSV. So this we will see in a while. Let me open this in a new tab. So here we have the CSV file. This will see if the file was found. If it wasn't found, it will create a new one, and if it was, then it will delete it. And of course, this will save the table to the CSV file. Here we have another conditional. So here we are checking if the Excel JSON table is empty. And if it isn't, then we will generate an Excel. So I'll open this subprogram. And we can see that we are simply writing to the Excel file where we save this variable in the output.xlx along with the file location. So all in all, this was a very good project, something that we learned a lot from. So without further ado, let me run Studio Pro. As you can see, it's running in the background. So I will choose the first demo. You can see it already generated the output. So let's take a look at the output. Here we have our numbers. And here we have the reasons these are to be. Let us run, well, we would first have to delete these files. If not, it would run into an error. Now let us run demo 02. So as we can see, it's already generating the files. It's quick, it's efficient. We have our numbers, our maybe the corresponding columns, and of course, the rest of our info. So this is what it would look like behind the scenes, even when we run the Excel files for automation from the Studio Pro. So I know it might be a bit overwhelming, but there is nothing that cannot be done. In this case, as you may have noticed, we are running an Excel file separately. Of course, this could be changed in the code for it to loop through a folder, such as this one, although this does not contain Excel files. This is just an example. So say this IPS group file had, say, around 20 of these Excel files. Of course, you would not be clicking through one and another and another. It could be changed for it to loop through the entire folder, even if it was zipped, and for it to generate a .csv file with the info from the folder. So, of course, it could also be changed to just look at part of an Excel file, maybe not an entire Excel file. So everything really is possible from the RPA standpoint. Of course, when it comes down to a mundane and repetitive task, because as we have seen, this bot has been pre-programmed to do something. It is not artificial intelligence. It is an attended bot. It will ask you to whether to find to give it a file. It could also be unattended, and it could be given a direction, an address, to where the directory might be. So it can be changed, can be edited, of course. Once again, when it's a mundane and repetitive task. Well, I have been Samuel Agreda, Great Best Group, RPA engineer and solutions architect. I hope you've enjoyed my demonstration, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your night. Bye.